Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into some absolutely fascinating theories today. We're mapping out ideas from various researchers and ancient astronaut theorists who suggest that ancient civilizations across the globe might have possessed some highly advanced technology. We're talking stuff far, far beyond what our traditional history books give them credit for. So I want to start you off with a pretty provocative thought. Are we essentially a species with amnesia? Is it possible that human history has this massive, completely forgotten blind spot that we are only just now beginning to uncover? Author Graham Hancock really hits the nail on the head here, suggesting that we literally don't remember who or what we are. And that quote brilliantly sets up the central premise of our explainer today, the idea that we might be missing a major, highly advanced chapter of our own past. Whether we're talking about lost knowledge of energy, biology, or even aerodynamics, the physical anomalies left behind are incredibly hard to ignore. To make sense of all these mysteries, here is the roadmap for today's explainer. 1. Harnessing Earth's energy. 2. The Giza power plant. 3. Ancient genetics. And 4. Evidence of flight. All right, let's dive straight into section 1, harnessing Earth's energy. We're starting our journey over in Egypt, specifically at the Sun Temple of Abu Ghurab. Now, this site has long been surrounded by mystery. Back in 1898, an excavation team uncovered the base of a gigantic obelisk that may have once towered over 160 feet into the sky. And what's really intriguing here is that ancient Egyptian texts described Abu Ghurab as the place of the gods. According to some researchers, this wasn't just a simple monument. It was a place where pharaohs and priests supposedly connected with really powerful energies. And theorists argue they weren't just connecting with spiritual energy, but tapping into actual physical energies. The science backing up this theory is actually pretty wild. You see, the vast majority of ancient obelisks are made of granite, and granite contains high concentrations of quartz crystals. Through a very real scientific principle called piezoelectricity, quartz can essentially convert natural mechanical vibrations from the Earth into usable electrical energy. Because of this, some researchers argue these structures were designed to harvest Earth's energy. Could they have functioned like giant antennas, transmitting power across vast distances? This idea becomes even more intriguing when you compare it directly to the work of modern inventor Nikola Tesla. Back in 1899, Tesla built the Wardenclyffe Tower because he dreamed of wireless electricity flowing through the Earth itself, a system that, by the way, heavily relied on quartz crystal. Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that Egypt's Great Pyramid and its obelisks may have essentially been giant crystal antennas, forming part of a forgotten global energy network. Which brings us to section 2, the Giza power plant. Mainstream archaeologists have long maintained that the Great Pyramid is just a royal tomb. But honestly, when you look at the timeline of bizarre discoveries inside, it kind of challenges that whole narrative. In 1872, these narrow shafts were discovered, leading out of the Queen's chamber. For over a century, everyone just assumed they were ventilation ducts. But then, in 1993, a team sent a robot up one of those shafts and found a deliberate blockage, a closed door with actual metal clamps. Later, in 2011, a micro camera slipped past that door and revealed corroded copper fittings and red markings that some engineers interpret as electrical symbols. Add in the fact that empty sarcophagi have been found in perfectly intact pyramids, and some researchers are asking, if it wasn't a tomb at all, what was it? Well, researchers like engineer Chris Dunn proposed this structure actually operated as a massive, sophisticated geomechanical machine, an enormous power plant capable of generating energy. Their chemical reaction theory goes like this. First, a Nile water pump creates an intense hydraulic pulse. Meanwhile, traces of zinc and hydrochloric acid found in those shafts suggest these chemicals were mixed, which releases hydrogen gas. That gas then travels to the king's chamber, where intense subterranean vibrations convert the gas into a powerful microwave energy beam. It is a completely stunning reimagining of the pyramid. Okay, let's shift gears to section 3, bizarre ancient genetic experiments, because Egypt's mysteries certainly do not end with energy. Ancient records and artworks frequently depict strange chimeras, beings with a human body and an animal head. As researcher Giorgio Tsoukalos points out, it sounds exactly like Frankenstein or science fiction, yet the ancients meticulously documented these mixed beings. Going back even further, ancient Sumerian lore talks about the Anunnaki, meaning those who from the heavens came. Some theorists propose that instead of just being fanciful mythology, these ancient texts might actually describe literal forgotten genetic harvesting and hybridization experiments.
But is there physical evidence to back that up? Consider this unbelievable discovery from 1851 down in Saqqara, Egypt. French Egyptologist Auguste Mariette explored a deep tomb dedicated to the sacred Apis bowl. He found these massive sealed sarcophagi with 80-ton lids, but when he finally got them open, there was no bull inside. Instead, he found a stinking mass of black bitumen that contained the crushed bone fragments of 7 entirely different types of animals. French researchers look at this and suggest it wasn't an ordinary burial at all. It looks like ancient priests deliberately destroyed and sealed away these genetic anomalies so they could never, ever return.
And that leads us perfectly into our final section, Section 4, Evidence of Flight. Let's look at an artifact that suggests an understanding of aerodynamics thousands of years before modern aviation. Back in 1891, archaeologists unearthed a small wooden artifact in an ancient tomb in Saqqara, dating back to the 3rd century BC. It was actually found right next to a papyrus inscribed with the words, "I want to fly." For decades, it just sat in a museum labeled as a simple bird figurine. But in 1969, an Egyptologist named Dr. Khalil Masiha noticed something incredible. The wings on this artifact were absolutely not avian in nature. Fast forward to 2006, and aviation expert Simon Sanderson actually built a scale model of it and put it in a wind tunnel. And guess what? He discovered it possesses aerodynamic features strikingly similar to a modern glider. The wings are thicker in the middle for maximum lift and thin out toward the ends. It completely lacks the natural architecture of a bird. Sanderson's tests proved it is a highly capable glider. Literally, the only things required for it to achieve flight were a catapult launch and a rear stabilizing elevator, which researchers think was originally attached but just lost to history. Could this be evidence of advanced knowledge that we somehow forgot? And the crazy thing is, Egypt isn't the only place with these kinds of clues. 1,500. That is the age, in years, of these mysterious gold artifacts found thousands of miles away in Colombia. Left behind by the Tolima civilization, about a dozen of these little figurines bear an uncanny, almost eerie resemblance to modern-day fighter jets. Are these just a coincidence, or are they clues to a forgotten chapter of human civilization? So what should you take away from all of this? When we look at obelisks acting as energy transmitters, the Great Pyramid potentially serving as a massive power plant, bizarre genetic anomalies sealed away in giant stone boxes, and aerodynamic gliders from antiquity, it paints a totally breathtaking picture. As more and more of these discoveries emerge, one huge question remains. Were ancient civilizations far more advanced than we ever imagined, or is there an even greater secret still waiting to be uncovered? It certainly makes you wonder what else is buried out there. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the past.